All right, guys, this is important because creation is finished already. So we're only manifesting different portions of creation that already exist. So it is impossible to force anything into being. You cannot force anything into being because creation is finished. And that's what we're going to go over in this video today. This is chapter 16, Personal Impotence, The Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard. This is a really good chapter. It's a short chapter, but I'm going to reference back to magnetism and give you that illustration of how this actually works to help you manifest and different portions of creation into your life today. Okay, so self-surrender is essential. And that, he means the confession of personal impotence, the confession of personal impotence. That means you cannot force anything into existence. You need to acknowledge that you are personally impotent in that regard, because self-surrender is essential. So you must understand that and surrender yourself, knowing that you cannot force anything into being. You cannot manifest anything with force because it's already finished. It's already completed. You cannot force it. And he goes over this in John. It was actually telling us in John 5:30 here. I can of mine own self do nothing. I can of mine own self do nothing. You have to give it away, self-surrender, by understanding it is impossible to force anything into being because everything already exists. All you're doing is assuming a feeling, using the law of assumption, assuming something, and then taking yourself or bringing this thing to you and extending your feelers and bringing the thing that you want into your life by assuming that feeling, which actually works, and it's very, very simple once you understand that. But this is a very important element to understand when you're trying to manifest, when you're trying to take your life to that next level by manifesting, by using the law of assumption, by visualizing, by affirming, by scripting, understanding this point that you can't force anything to existence and you need to use self-surrender and how essential that is. All right, so here's where Neville Goddard goes over creation and how it's finished. And he gives this illustration here, which I'm going to take you guys back to that illustration. Okay, since creation is finished, it is impossible to force anything into being. The example of magnetism previously given is a good illustration. So I'm going to take you guys back to where he gives this illustration of magnetism to help you understand about self-surrender and using the law of assumption and how this actually works and how everything is nothing is generated, it's only displayed. And he gives this example really well with magnetism. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right into this. Okay, so the rich man, the poor man, the beggar man, and thief are not different minds, but different arrangements of the same mind, in the same sense that a piece of steel, when magnetized, differs not in substance from its demagnetized state, but in the arrangement and order of its molecules. A single electron revolving in a specified orbit constitutes the unit of magnetism. When a piece of steel or anything else is demagnetized, the revolving electrons have not stopped. Therefore, the magnetism has not gone out of existence. There is only a rearrangement of the particles so that they produce no outside or perceptible effect. When particles are arranged at random, mixed up in all directions, the substance is said to be demagnetized. When the particles are marshaled in ranks so that a number of them face in one direction, the substance is a magnet. So the only thing that separates a piece of steel and a magnet is the arrangement of the particles. They're not at random. They're actually facing in one direction. So you can associate this with the law of assumption about how everything is already created and everything is exactly the same, but you are experiencing a different portion of creation depending on how your mind is arranged. If you arrange your mind in a certain way, you're going to experience a different portion of that of your reality. But everything is already created. Your billionaire self is already created depending on the arrangement of your mind. When everything is marshaled in ranks in certain directions and your mind is focused and you have that ability to hold your attention, on one thing for long periods of time, you are now manifesting a different world. Now you have created a sense of awareness of creation and the different portions of creation that you want to manifest into your world by changing your mindset, by creating a new version of yourself, changing the concept of yourself, and understanding these principles. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right back into it here. Okay, so here's Neville Goddard. He's going to break this down even further. Okay, so you cannot make magnetism. It can only be displayed. You cannot create anything. Everything is already created. So All you have to do is change the arrangement of your mind, and then you'll experience a different portion of creation that already exists. But you must do this by self-surrendering to this law and the way that it works, and not force anything. You don't have to force anything. You're not creating anything. You're just manifesting different portions of creation by changing the arrangement of your mind. So if you're trying to manifest something into your world, all you do is assume that you already have it. You have that feeling state of already having something, and that changes the arrangement of your mind to match up with that portion of creation that already exists. Okay, so all right, so here's Neville. If you want to build a magnet, you can only do so only by conforming to the law of magnetism. In other words, you surrender yourself or yield to the law itself. You must understand the law of itself and how it works. You cannot change the law. You can only change the arrangement of your mind to conform to that law. So it gets back right here. We're yielding to you must yield to the law of assumption, because that is the law, and that's just what it is. That's how it works. So you cannot fight against that. You cannot force anything into being. The way that you create or you manifest things into your world is by changing the arrangements of your mind, by assuming a feeling state, by assuming that you already have something, whatever that may be. You create a feeling state within you, and you change the arrangement of your mind, and your world will conform to that change. It has to. It has no choice. Just like the law of magnetism and the piece of steel. When the piece of steel is arranged, if the particles in the piece of steel are arranged to conform in a certain pattern, then it has to change into to a magnet. It has no choice. That piece of steel has no choice but to change into a magnet. And similarly, just like your mind compared to that piece of steel, when you have arranged your mind in certain patterns by assuming a feeling that you already have something, just like the piece of steel, when that assumed that it was a magnet, it changed its particles, and then it was arranged in a certain way and became the magnet, okay? It became the magnet, just like you can, by changing the arrangement of your mind, by assuming that you already have something, have to become a successful person or a happy person or in a great relationship or having a great physique, having a great career. If you rearrange the particles in your mind and they conform with this new version of yourself, then you will be it. You have to have it, but you don't force it. You yield to it by understanding that and changing yourself within. That is the key here, guys. All right, so, and in like manner, when you use the faculty of assumption, you are conforming to a law just as real as the law governing magnetism. And this is a really important part right here. You can neither create nor change the law of assumption. You cannot create it. You cannot change it. It is a law. You must conform to it. You must yield to the law of assumption. And that is just the way manifesting works. That's how you manifest anything. Doesn't matter what type of manifesting you're using. All you're doing is assuming a feeling of already having something, changing the arrangement of your mind, and becoming a new version of yourself. And then when you become that new version of yourself, you are now experiencing a different portion of creation that you have manifested into a new portion of creation that already exists. And that's how manifesting works in a nutshell right there. That is exactly the way that it works, and that is the law of assumption, by yielding to it and understanding that. Okay, so, and it is in this respect that you are impotent. You must self-surrender. You can only yield or conform. And since all of your experiences are the result of your assumptions, consciously or unconsciously, the value of consciously using the power of assumption surely must be obvious. And with all of that being said and understood about the law of assumption, about how you cannot change the law of assumption, but yet that's what creates everything in your world. You must yield to it. You must conform to it. You must willingly identify yourself with that which you most desire, knowing that it will find expression through you. Yield to the feeling of the wish fulfilled and be consumed as its victim. Yield to the feeling of the wish fulfilled and be consumed as its victim. Then rise as the prophet of the law of assumption. Then rise as the prophet of the law of assumption. All right, guys, so I'm going to give you a brief recap before we end this video. And this is very important, because this is about self-surrender. And this is about understanding that you must conform to the law. You cannot change the law. You cannot create anything. You can only manifest different portions of that by the arrangement of your mind. And you must understand that you must self-surrender. You must surrender yourself as its victim. of the law of assumption, because that's how everything is created from within you internally, then projected out into your world. But you cannot create it. You cannot change it. You can only manifest different portions of that. And you do that by changing the arrangement of your mind, by assuming a feeling of the wish fulfilled of whatever you're trying to manifest into your world, and then your world will change. It will conform to that. It will conform to your change of display within you. So you're displaying a different portion of reality once you have changed the arrangement of your mind with different feeling states using the law of assumption. But you cannot change that. You must conform to that. Just like Neville Goddard says right here, you must willingly identify yourself with that which you most desire, knowing that it will find expression through you. Knowing that it will find expression through you. So all you have to do is yield to the feeling of the wish fulfilled and be consumed as its victim, guys. All right, guys, I love you guys very much. And I did want to let you guys know that I did open up an Instagram account and I do have a TikTok. So that is actually me that has opened up those accounts. It's not an impersonator. All right, I love you guys very much. And don't forget to give me one thing you guys are grateful for. And I will see you guys in the next video.